was told that Gen Z was going to save us, and then I saw one proudly call himself a fascist on Jubilee. So now what? We tend to always think this about the next generation. I thought my generation was going to be the one to save the world, but we didn't really do shit. So far, the most progressive generation that I've seen is the millennials, so let's hope that holds up. I thought my generation, Generation X, was going to do a lot of good because we were the first real generation to grow up unsegregated. So I foolishly thought that racism would probably die with our generation because we would raise our kids to not be that way, but here we still are. But here are my thoughts about the whole Jubilee thing, and for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, there is a rage bait type site that has these debates between well-known influencers and media people against like the opposite. Like they had a room full of liberals versus Charlie Kirk or Candace Owen. The most recent one was a bunch of shitty young MAGA people against Mehdi Hassan, and if you don't know who he is, I highly recommend you look him up and follow him. So I'm seeing a variety of arguments about this whole situation that Jubilee does not need to be platforming these people at all because they don't need to have their voices heard in society, and I totally get that. But also, I feel like that these people do need to be platformed on some level, but not like Jubilee, because I think that society needs that wake-up call. They need to see that these people still exist in society. Because most of the people that he was debating against were like in their 20s. They weren't my age or older. We keep thinking that America is becoming more progressive, but what if that rot isn't aging out? It's more evolving. I don't know that that's the case, but we should probably treat it like it might be. So the question is, do we fight fire with airtime? Do we expose the extremists? Because it doesn't always work in our favor. Because one of the guys was pro-Nazi, he lost his job, and then he set up a GoFundMe and raised $20,000 in like 2 days. That's not cool. But we also live in a country where a white woman called an autistic black kid the N-word and then got $1 million for it. I don't know. All I know is that I'm tired of this, and I know a lot of us are tired of this, but we have to keep up this fight. Should we not platform these people under any circumstances, or should we platform them to expose them? Because I see merit in both sides. Because if we're going to let them speak, we need to be prepared to speak louder and smarter. I don't agree with the way that Jubilee set this whole thing up, because sometimes you don't expose the rot, you help it find an audience, and that is not helpful to society. Because if we're going to hear from fascists, I'd like to hear a little less applause in the background. There's a fine line between holding a mirror up to society and giving hate a spotlight, and right now, that line is blurry as hell.